college enrollment is collapsing faster than ever. We're exposing why schools like Birmingham-Southern are closing mid-baseball season, how a hidden demographic apocalypse is gutting admissions, and why tuition could soon hit 100K. Spoiler, this isn't about student loans, it's about a system built to fail. It all begins with a real story. Think about this. The abrupt announcement of closure comes from a college with a history that predates the light bulb by 168 years. No gradual fading. Farewell, my friend. Make a noise and it's gone. The baseball squad will be a part of the College World Series some days. After this, it's official. The school they're representing doesn't exist anymore. Located in Alabama, that is Birmingham-Southern College. Through the Great Depression, a worldwide pandemic, 2 world wars, and the Civil War, it managed to survive. In any case, it wouldn't make it to the year 2024. There's a massive problem quietly growing inside America's college system. We're not just talking about student loans this time. This is way bigger. It's a $1 trillion crisis that could shake the entire idea of college as we know it. And what's happening to Birmingham-Southern College? That's just the first crack. Since 1996, more than 1,200 universities have shut down. That's about 55 schools every single year. Imagine hundreds of colleges suddenly closing, leaving students stuck halfway through their degrees. They're left with big bills, frozen transcripts, and no idea what to do next. Their parents? Angry. Their professors? Jobless. And the students themselves? They start wondering if their diplomas even matter anymore. Do you think that this is just bad leadership or poor planning? Not quite. The real cause is much deeper and weirder than you'd expect. This didn't happen because a few people made bad choices. This happened because of babies, or rather the fact that we're not having enough of them. Back in 2008, the average American family had 2 kids. That number has dropped hard. Now it's closer to 1.5. That might sound small, but here's where things get serious. Because fewer babies back then means fewer college students now. Why did people stop having kids? Well, blame the Great Recession. In 2008, the financial crash hit young adults the hardest, especially millennials. Job loss, rising rent, and huge debt made people feel like it was the worst time to start a family, so many of them didn't. Fast forward to now, and those babies that were never born, they'd be just the right age to start college this year. But they're not here, and without students, colleges can't survive. In fact, by 2037, experts say that the number of high school grads could drop by nearly 500,000. That means fewer people buying textbooks, signing up for dorms, or even applying to college. Schools can't pay teachers, programs get cut, campuses close, and the system begins to crumble. This isn't just a college problem. It's a slow-moving disaster with no easy fix. But what's coming next? Well, let's just say that it's not only the students who need to worry. If this sounds like the kind of truth that no one's talking about, hit like and subscribe. It might be the only homework that actually pays off. Stay informed, stay prepared, and don't get left behind while the system shifts beneath us. Colleges, particularly more compact ones, were established with the purpose of accommodating new students, renovated classrooms, laboratories, and recreation spaces. However, at this moment, they're about to explode from hunger. This is analogous to a town that suddenly loses its college, hospital, and factory all at once. Simply put, the local economy suffers when a school closes its doors. With fewer students, the neighborhood would lose its coffee shops, part-time jobs, and potential home buyers. But be patient because things are about to get worse. Surely states would have made education a top priority when they began to reestablish their budgets following the Great Recession. Oh, I see. Shortly after 2008, states drastically reduced their financing for higher education and never bothered to return to it. Arizona slashed finance by half, Texas by 1/4 point, and schools were not eligible for bailouts and had to find other ways to pay for expenses, which sometimes meant taking money from you. The bait and switch starts here. Come to UT Austin. Doesn't it qualify as a public university? State funding is likely to make up the majority. However, public support accounts for only around 11% of its total funding at the present. But what about the other stuff? Loans for students, funds set aside by parents, rising cost of education? This is happening everywhere, not just at UT. In the past, public universities paid for 80% of tuition. Right now, of that, 62% falls on families. Next, how did colleges and universities proceed? The manner they adapted, though, was far from ideal. Their dependence on tuition escalated. The price increase since 2008 was 35%. As an excuse, they began constructing high-end resident halls with amenities like rooftop pools and lazy rivers. The irony, though, is that all those brand new gleaming structures won't help them when enrollment begins to plummet. They will merely serve as costly and meaningless artifacts of a bygone era. Alright, let's get into the buyers versus the sellers crisis in higher education. The Great Divide, if you will. Consider Columbia, Stanford, and Harvard as potential buyers. These colleges are considered elite and turn away nearly all applications. Additional pupils are unnecessary. They select only the most exceptional candidates, and they have endowments that are bigger than several countries. Harvard's, for example, is more than $50 billion. But not every college is Harvard, and most schools know it. In fact, 67% of colleges accept nearly everyone who applies. These schools are basically hunting for students. Many of them have fewer than 5,000 students, so even losing just 25 can hit them hard. That's like a 10% drop in revenue. That's a big deal. To stay afloat, they try everything. They build flashy rock walls. They hand out scholarships. Some even give away free iPads. It's all part of the act, trying to look modern, popular, and successful, even if they're struggling behind the scenes. It's a game of survival, and the schools are playing it hard. However, the numbers still won't add up. Students' newfound aversion to baseball was not because of the Birmingham-Southern demise. Everything came crashing down when the economy stopped making sense. Also, a lot of schools are on the verge of bankruptcy due to just one late payment. We are now trapped in the tuition doom cycle. The process is as follows. Fewer students enrolled, so in order to compensate for the losses, institutions increase tuition. However, this drives up their price, which means fewer students can afford them. Tuition increases once more. Once again, rinse and repeat until you deflate. This typical annual tuition could reach $50,000 by the year of 2030, and that's just for an average school, not for medical or law school. Annual tuition for out-of-state students at public universities, such as the University of Wisconsin-Madison, is already $40,000. Calculations are being made by families, and the response is definitely unsatisfactory to them. The sad reality is that universities are pricing themselves out of existence. A faculty rebellion and alumni reaction would ensue if tenured professors were fired or programs were severely reduced in order to save money. They are counting on families to keep taking out loans, so they are charging more and more. That game, though, isn't being played by Gen Z. College as a whole is being called into doubt by an increasingly number of people. In case you believe that the kids are going overboard, think about the consequences of a school closure in the middle of the semester. There's no way for students to transfer their credits, and they end up in enormous debt. Some students are unable to access their transcripts due to the frozen status of their school's financial data. It may ruin a career before it ever began, so it's not simply an annoyance. So what are your options? You should begin the college application process by reviewing the financials if you're applying or you know someone who is. Look for the school's name, plus budget crisis or enrollment drop in the search bar, and it's surprising how many articles appear. Unless they are very well endowed or have a high ranking, you should stay away from tiny private universities. Of all things, these are the weakest. Even if they give you a large scholarship to start with, it could all be for nothing if the institution goes out of business within 4 years. Also, deals aren't to be underestimated. Employment in the plumbing, electrical, and HVAC industries can fetch salaries of over $100,000 per annum. No class, there are no dorm fees payable, certificate, and talent alone. In the process, let us dispel a few misconceptions. College is a wise investment is a common phrase. Of course, assuming of course that the school will be around to recognize the credential when it's time. Authorities will rescue them. Very unlikely. The cuts that Arizona made in 2008 were never reversed. Budget cuts, not bailouts, are the prevailing public opinion in many regions. College is not deemed outmoded by us. However, everything is falling apart. Being overly optimistic is a risky business. Whether you're dealing with housing, healthcare, or retirement, the fate of many schools will be determined in the coming decade. Be astute, exercise caution. In a system that's crumbling, your degree won't protect you, first and foremost, because when universities fail, it's not merely physical structures that are destroyed. Aspirations are as well. Before you pick a school or make another tuition check, do you think that your degree will have any relevance in 10 years? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Like and share this with someone questioning student loans, and don't miss our last video about the collapse of retail. And of course, don't forget to subscribe.